Hey, cornbread review off the bat, bro.
You might not like my review then, man. Yeah, so all in all, man, I ended up coming up 2.5 out of 5. Two of them things.
Yo.
5 out of 5 cornbreads for the cornbread review. What you think?
Welcome back, Cornbread Movie Review family. I told y'all last week we was talking about Exterminate All the Brutes. That was part one last week. I told y'all every week I'm gonna drop an episode, so we need to discuss this, man. Like I said, each episode has so much to unpack that I can't wait to the halfway point and then season finale talk about it. No, we're talking about it every episode of Exterminate All the Brutes. This episode is part two. Before we get into the nitty gritty, make sure you like and subscribe. It's right below. It's real easy. Go ahead. I'm going to give you some time. Come on. Let's go. Go ahead. All right. Thank you for subscribing. Now, just make sure you turn notifications on. There's a bell right there. You should be good every time I drop one, especially in this series, right? Every week I'm going to drop an episode and we're going to discuss this. So we're going to get right into it. Thank y'all again. Exterminate All the Brutes. Last week, part one got real. I was not ready for this series, but part two is the same thing. It's so much information and nuggets and jewels in each line, it feels like, that we need to discuss these things. So I'm back again. Once again, it's a 4-part series and it's filmed by Raoul Peck. All right, so go check it out right now. Absolutely. All right, so the series, which intrigues me, he goes back to 1492, right? Like, where are you getting this information? But you can tell he's done a lot of research, asking a lot of people who are historians and, like I said, looking up TV shows, looking up movies to see how accurate they are, going back and reading some books, man. So kudos to Raoul Peck for making this documentary, man. So first thing we're going to talk about, the narrative. I'm used to his voice now. I know I talked about it last part, but I'm used to his voice. So we cooking now. We cooking with grease with him. And it's good that we find out more about him, right? About where he grew up, growing up in Haiti. And then he also had a little segment where his moment in life where he questioned God and he realized why he doesn't believe in God anymore because of something that happened. Like I said, it is spoilers in this episode, but I'm not going to give y'all everything. I can't cover everything, but I want to give y'all some things to get back with me, right? So you get to learn more about him, which is good. I'm really intrigued by this guy. It also discussed the Battle of the Alamo in 1836, or basically Texas versus Mexico. The Alamo is very pivotal in Texas, right? Like, people lost their lives, but it's really pivotal for Mexico too, right? Like they weren't going, they're not going either. So you get the dynamic of, throughout this series, of America, of Europeans, of Africans, South Africa, everybody has a journey. Everybody has a story. Everybody had a war to take over land, right? No, you couldn't just go and be like, hey, I want to purchase this house back in the days. No, all that shit was dead. It was, I want to buy this land or I want to take this land. And if I can't take it, you ain't going to be here to see it, right? So, it's great that he's covering every aspect of not just American history, but world history. I really like this about this individual. One statement that he said that was facts to me, man, and I'm very guilty of this. He said, people really learn from movies and TV shows, not books. And like I said, I'm guilty of that, man. Like, this is a microwave society. We need stuff now. How can I learn it? You got my attention for 2 hours? Cool, I'm here. But a book can take damn near a lifetime, right? People are still deciphering the Bible, right? Or it could be on a vacation. For me, it feels personally like you need that downtime to cool out and then take your mind away from stuff when you read books. And it can take longer to digest. Movies, you can give them 2 hours. TV shows is 30 minutes to an hour, right? Tops, with commercials, right? So I'm very guilty of that. I wish he elaborated more, but once again, these series, some of it's going to be my opinion and some of it's going to be his. So I'm going to intertwine how I feel about some of the things that he highlighted from this series. He talked about, oh boy, fuck boy, man, Christopher Columbus. I don't understand it. It irks me. If you haven't out there, please see the world. Get outside the country. Wherever you're watching this from, whatever country, go to another country, right? You have to experience different cultures and how people live, man. Different foods, different religions, different languages, right? Like you got to understand that it's a big world out here, and you're a minute part of that, right? So it intrigued me how, and it kind of pissed me off how I'll go to different countries and they have Christopher Columbus statues. But I was thinking, we got a Christopher Columbus holiday, right? Like, come on, man. We gotta do better. We gotta do better on this. It makes no sense how somebody could discover something, but there are people already there. There are like it doesn't make sense how that's the ultimate catfish right there. Like, nah, I'm not digging that. But he talked a little bit about Christopher Columbus' journey, kind of what kind of started of him convincing other people to take this journey with him, and then his journey to Haiti, and obviously the narrator's from Haiti, so he gets to talk more about how that affected how he grew up. One part, also a statistic that he said it only took 100 years. Think about this. It only took 100 years, which is somebody's lifetime. Somebody lived to be 100. Somebody was born and ended during this period. 100 years to wipe out 90% of African culture and all the original people who grew original population in Africa. 90%. It only took 100 years. That is so quick. It's sad, man. They was working from the first person who got there in Africa to damn near, like I said, 100 years later, they took out everything. And you wonder why people don't have a history, right? Because it was burned or hidden, or just don't talk about it or you'll die. So that really hurt me, right? Like these are stats that you kind of know, but he puts it in the limelight like, no, these are real. These are real stats, right? So he said most of the 90% of them didn't die from war, right? They died from war, poverty, slavery, and disease. It's kind of like COVID, right? Like you're not wearing a mask around your family because you know what's coming in, you know what's going out, right? But if somebody, an outsider, comes in, now your body isn't immune to whatever they're bringing to you, and so your body can't handle that. So they die from that as well. So very sad stat. He came up with a game plan too on. So when they conquered Africa, he showed on how long, or not, really that same mentality, that same game plan of, okay, we took over this continent, we enslaved them, we took their riches and what their continent produces, we can go elsewhere, right? We can keep going west. And that's why he has a timeline showing when they took over South Africa and start heading to America, right? So very graphic. This was the late 1500s, so he has a nice little graph to show you what this stuff happening. So for my visual learners, I'm one of them. You get to see how he's portraying this. All right. Very, very sad. There's one scene we got to talk about, man. The slave on the boat scene. I know we've heard about all the things that happened with the transportation of slaves coming over. But there is a scene that sucks. Like, it's just hard to watch where there's a slave. It's at nighttime. He sneaks out of, I guess, the little slave ship at the bottom of it where they kept everybody, where they slept. He snuck out, went to the top, and he saw a slave owner right there smoking a stogie. And he continues smoking a stogie. Like, what you gonna do? You ain't finna kill me, obviously, so I don't know what you about to do. He goes to the end of the ship and jumps over. He felt like it brought me back to the scene from Black Panther when he was like, kill me with my ancestors. I'd rather die. I forgot what he said. I'd rather die a hero or something, or live and be enslaved, right? So you see the African, don't kill me for that quote either. I know y'all out there, you're trying to get me. Write in the comments what he said. I appreciate y'all. But he just committed suicide, man. He was like, I can't take living like this anymore. And so many enslaved, I'm not going to say Africans. I mean, it's different races that were enslaved throughout the history of the world, right? So a lot of people killed themselves because, like I said, they didn't want to be tortured. They didn't want to live through that free labor. So very heartwarming scene right there. There's also a little twist in the middle of this episode where he had the white kids as slaves, and then the black males as the slave catchers and slave owners. So it's a nice little scene. So if you feel like that's wrong, like in your heart, like, man, that's wrong that they're doing that to this, you should feel the exact same way no matter who's enslaved, right? It shouldn't be a color attached to the slavery. It should be slavery, period, is wrong. And obviously that's my liberal heart, but that's how I feel, man. That's how I feel with it. One part, I'm going to tell you a little story after I get to something that he highlighted. He said, he brought up the word Negro and black in the dictionary. He said when it was entered in the French dictionary in the late 18th century, he said it had negative undertones, right? And so I remember, shout out to Mo P, my stepdad. I was about 11 years old. He said, hey, get the dictionary, right? I pulled it out. He says, look up the word white, right? And it said pure, it said without blemish, holy, clean. It used all these words to describe what white meant, right? I'm like, all right, well, I, cool. That's just what white is. He said, all right, look up black. And keep in mind, I'm 11, 12 years old, I look up black. It says dirty, flawed, without light, imperfect. It had all these, like he said, all these dark undertones of negativity that just looking at that, of looking up the word, and then now you're subconsciously looking at, okay, now you see a black person, I'm already going to use those trigger words in my head. Now in my head, I'm already going to use those trigger words to say, okay, that person is dirty, right? And he's black, but shit. My stepdad also said, okay, it says you're dirty, but are you dirty? You clean, right? You just took a shower. Like, he's like, don't get that confused. And what I'm going to do for y'all right now, which this was probably back in the late 90s when I had that conversation with my stepdad. So I'm going to show y'all things have changed, which is a positive, right? Not in society, I don't think things have changed, but just the word black and white. So I'm going to put up white right now. You'll see all I did was type in white dictionary, and you'll kind of see what it says. And then now I'm going to put up black. All I typed in was black dictionary, or black definition, right? And then you'll kind of see what it says, right? So they're getting away from those negative undertones of this person is better than the other person just because it's white and black, just by the simple word white and black, right? So I applaud him for at least tackling that, because like I said, I have to deal with that, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there right now that have to deal with just looking up the word dictionary, looking up the word black and white in the dictionary. Something as simple as that could be eye-opening, and I appreciate that. Also, one part, like I said, this is part 2 of Exterminate All the Brutes. President Andrew Jackson. Gotta talk about it, man. So this president created hundreds of treaties to basically wipe out all Native American tribes, man. He was creating laws that they couldn't benefit from, but the Americans or who came over, only white Americans, because at the time, everybody else wasn't considered Americans. So only white male and females, Christians, would benefit from these laws, right? From how they can eat, them not being a tribe, different laws, you can kill them, you know what I'm saying? So hundreds of treaties back then, and it kind of set up how America proceeded in the future. And we all kind of know the story, right? So he talked more about Andrew Jackson on this, man. So that's part 2. I didn't tackle everything because it's so much to unpack, and I want y'all to interact with me, right? Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me, elaborate more. Tell me your stories on how you feel about this this series, man. But I'm excited. I'm excited for part 3 and part 4. Once again, so next week I'm gonna drop part 3, and you'll get my opinion on this. Make sure you guys are watching. It's on HBO Max. Call a friend to call a friend. If you ain't got HBO Max, I don't know what y'all be doing on the side, but make sure you watch this show. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. I love y'all again. Back with another Cornbread Movie review. I'll holla at y'all. Peace.